Hello everybody, my name is Leo and in this video we are gonna compare the Soldano SLO 100 2020 edition versus the Fractal FM3. Also asking ourselves, is the Soldano SLO 100 worth the extra money in comparison with the FM3, as its price is almost 3 times the one of the FM3? We will proceed in two steps. In the first one, we will try to match the sound of the FM3 with the one of the Soldano, playing the two units head to head, checking out the frequency response, the feel, and so on. And then we will hear the two units in a demo song to verify if we can hear the differences in a real mix. Few notes here about the signal chain and the configuration. I have used a Sir Classic Antique S that is going into an electro-harmonics parallel mixer that in channel 1 is connected to the real Soldano and the FM3 in the channel 2. Then the Soldano is connected to a Sir reactive load, and in my digital audio workstation I've loaded an IR of a greenback speaker. I've loaded the same IR in the FM3, where I've also matched the impedance curve of the amp block to the one of the Sir reactive load. That should be the one of a greenback cab. I've also checked out that the volume coming out from the electro-harmonics is equal to the one of the guitar, and it is. I'm using the Soldano in the overdrive channel with these settings, so I'm also pushing a little bit the power amp tubes with the master volume at 6. I will start comparing the units with the FM3 using the same settings of the real amp, and then we will tweak together the knobs of the FM3 to match the Soldano. Here it is worth noticing what Fractal Audio says about the Soldano knobs and the ones of the Fractal. Note that the knobs on 5 on the Axe FX correspond to 6 on an SLO, because they go to 11. None on an SLO isn't actually the knobs at halfway. The range of the knobs is like 8 to 6, as opposed to 7 to 5. Another caveat when comparing amps. Many times the knobs aren't centered. If you put the treble knob at noon, it isn't actually out 50%. In the case of an SLO 100, it is intentional. On an SLO 100, all the way down is around 8 and all the way up is 6, so 50% is around 1 and not noon. If I understood it well, this sentence was referred to an Axe FX original generation, so things may have changed. But in any case, this sentence tells us that the knobs of the FM3 could behave a little bit differently from the ones in the real Soldano. Let's now start with the head-to-head comparison. Please notice that I've not done any test before this video, so I'm making this test for the first time together with you, and well, I'm very curious. This is the Soldano. This is the FM3. The basic sound is similar, even if, as you may have noticed, there are some differences. Let's pay attention to the gain level. In my opinion, here they are very close and I don't think I need to make any adjustment. Now let's pay attention to the bass frequencies. Here I think that the FM3 needs a tiny bit of bump in the bass frequency. For me, this is the sweet spot. Let's focus on mids and high frequencies. Here I think that there are the most evident differences between the two units. Mids and high frequencies are, in my opinion, a tiny bit more clearer and less muddy in the real amp in comparison with the FM3. So let's try to work on the FM3 knobs. I think that I've reached the sweet spot even for the high frequencies. There is still that little bit of difference between the two, but they are very, very close. And I don't think that in a mix I will be able to tell which is which. Now, my favorite test, dynamic response. Volume at 5 of the guitar. Here I've noticed two things. First of all, the FM3 is pretty amazing. It is a little bit faster in ramping out with the gain. And then if you notice, when the volume is down at 5, with FM3, at the end of the sound there is a tiny bit of fluctuation in the volume of the sound. Let's pay attention at the very end of the sound. The Soldano is very even, it has a very consistent decrease in sound, while the FM3 at the end has a tiny bit of fluctuation. Very even, very consistent. Have you heard? I wouldn't care too much about this thing, but it is something it is worth noticing. Maybe you are finishing a song with just a fat chords and you hear this at the end of the chords. And you hear this little fluctuation at the end of the chord. Now let's check out the envelope of the note. Here the FM3 is really great. So personal opinions at the end of this test. Gain, bass frequencies, envelope, perfect. The FM3 is almost identical to the real deal. Mid and high frequency, there is a tiny bit of muddiness, in my opinion, in the FM3. I slightly prefer the real deal. Dynamic response, the FM3 goes up with the gain a little bit more quicker in comparison with the real deal. And there is this little fluctuation when the sound is decreasing that is more evident in the FM3. Let's now check out the two units in action with the demo song. Can you hear the differences? Now, final considerations here. As always, these are my personal opinions and you may not agree with me, and this is totally fine. First of all, let me say that my Soldano is the 2020 edition that is slightly different from the previous ones. For instance, it has new transformers. On the other hand, the FM3 model is related to an older SLO 100, therefore some differences in the sounds could derive by the fact that my real SLO 100 is not exactly the SLO 100 modeled in the FM3. Let me now try to answer the initial question. Do I regret spending so much money for the real Soldano in comparison with FM3? Well, honestly, no. We are talking about nuances, but nuances for me are pretty important at this level of the game. The FM3 is an absolute beast and it is really close to the real deal. But the real deal, in my opinion, has just that little bit more pleasing frequency response, especially the high frequencies, and a more homogeneous management of the dynamic response that for me are things that are invaluable. For these nuances, I think that it is worth spending so much more money. We are talking just about little details, but you know, when I record my songs, and my songs are really important for me, the details are substantially important and they make a lot of difference for me. I need to know that I've done the best I could to get the best sound possible for my music. On the other hand, in live situation, the FM3 is so much more convenient in comparison with the real deal that I would for sure use the FM3 instead of bringing with me the real deal. I mean, it is much more lighter and smaller, with a lot of effects and amps. Well, I have no doubts here that the difference in sound I was talking about previously are not enough, in my opinion, to force me to bring with me the real deal instead of an FM3. Another factor to take into consideration, maybe, is that, let's say in 10 years from now, the FM3 value is gonna be pretty low, while I think that the real Soldano is gonna retain much more its value. But now it's your turn. What's your opinion? Is the real Soldano worth so much more money in comparison with FM3? Please let me know your precious and valuable opinions in the comment below. We have now reached the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did it, please don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell and leave a thumbs up. It would be of great help. And of course, you won't miss my future videos. If you're interested in my music, you can check out the links to a playlist of songs of mine in the description below. And if you want to use DistroKid for distributing your music, you can use this link, which provides you with a 7% discount. That's all for now. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video. Bye bye.